I'm Don Simpson, the creator of Megaton Man, Border Worlds, Bizarre Heroes, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
The horses are at the gate. Yep. In crazy, not true listener land, yeah.
What they don't know, don't hurt them.
Right. It's good, it's okay. We're good. It's the illusion. That's all they care about is the illusion.
Inside Joke City, man. You know, listen.
Right.
Those who know, know.
Those who don't know are left out.
Patron. Oh, well.
Oh, what? No.
Suck it, please.
Jeez, don't you tell me what to do. Hey, everybody. It is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 8.
That should replace That's It for that one. Sorry, I'm talking all over you.
It's all right. It's episode 1 of 11 O'Clock Comics. Nah, there is a 1 in it, though. This is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 871, people. And I'm Vince B. Hi.
You are Vince B. I am David A. Price.
Indeed you are, and I am a vision because I'm Vic Sage.
Oh, you read that shit? Is it on your list?
On my list, player.
Oh, look at that. What? Yeah, okay. No, you're not Vic Sage. You're handsome like him, but you're not Vic Sage. You're Jason Wood, everybody together in this just average, fun-loving, big hug to comics episode. That's what we do.
Just talking about it.
Yeah, and it is brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com. I always like to just pop in to cheapgraphicnovels.com just to see what's up. It's like, hey, Max, how you doing? Well, we have a lot of stuff that is heavily discounted on their website. Batman and the Joker, the Deadly Duo. I don't know what that is, but it's 40% off. It's only $17.99. Yep, and you can get the Wolverine Omnibus of Volume 5. This contains a whole bunch of stuff we talked about last time. Blood Scream's in here, Lady Deathstrike. I mean, okay, you can't point to an era in Wolverine without those characters popping up. We got Deadpool, Ogun, the Phalanx. Yeah, we talked about this. It's 40% off cover price. What is that, pray tell? Well, it was $150, but you can put it on your bookshelf and love it for the rest of eternity for $89.99. Eternity's a long time with Wolverine, especially. So, true. Yeah, you can walk down that glistening road into your final reward with Logan in tow. Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is one of Marvel's celestial beings, though. Eternity.
Well, right. Eternity is, yeah. What's your power? I take up the entire page.
Yeah, I am all.
Come on, that was a good one. Wolverine, Eternity does take up the entire page, like all the time. Oh boy. At cheapgraphicnovels.com.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
We are a month away from New York Comic Con.
Is it?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Did you activate your pass?
No.
I have my pass. I haven't activated it, though.
I didn't even open the letter yet.
Same, yeah.
It's like,
I did just so I could see what the pass looks like.
I was secure knowing that the pass was in my hands.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Also, so I can attach it to the lanyard and throw it in my bag.
See, he always has this Machiavellian plan. Like, you just can't get the badge. You got to have this. I'm gonna put it in the basket.
Just can't get enough,
dude.
I'm gonna wipe it off with. Yeah, it is. You are correct. Yep. You know what the best part about this con is? I don't have to worry about license. I don't have to worry about airfare or baggage or any of that shit. This is the best.
There you go.
We're gonna.
You also don't have to worry about back issue diving because they don't got none anymore.
Well, they had a good amount. I mean, when I say a good amount, it's more than zero, right? So we're gonna have a good time.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Talk to our buddies.
Our plebes.
Jason chasing around some OA.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
High artist, bro.
Nah, okay.
No, he won't.
Okay, yeah, he will.
I mean, he'll be chasing people who are chasing just to see what they're getting, maybe, but...
I may bring some jam pieces, but
Oh,
Yeah.
because
I'm not Karnak. Like Stevie Wonder could see that one coming.
Like going to the massage parlor. It's not really cheating.
Number one,
I was trying to get the benefit of the doubt. Be like, listen,
never,
got your back.
ever have I been in a massage parlor in my entire life. Okay? Sicilians don't pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like an actual parlor, right? It's just someone's house at the end of the street.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, all right.
Linda, I got time. Come on. Hey, everybody. It's time for the drink roll call. I have one can left of the Happy Hour Hero Mosaic IPA from Saranac. I did not have a chance to get more, but I will as soon as possible because this stuff is great.
Nice. Well, I am celebrating tonight because hopefully people can hear that I sound better. We scrapped my purchased many $1,000 super laptop computer they said I had to have, and I'm using my 14-year-old son's laptop that he uses for school, and it has solved the issue. So, F Dell, straight up, F him. But I am drinking in celebration of that a White Claw, because it's the law, hard seltzer surf, watermelon lime smash.
Wow. There's a lot of words in that.
It's got as many words in the title as like a Marvel comic these days.
Oh, Karnak, is that you?
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
Boy, DC event. Colon's out the ass.
It's true. Colons aplenty. How about you, Dap?
I decided that I haven't had this in a minute, and it is one of my favorites, and I need to get down to Dillon's and get another bottle. But this is Bardstown Origin Series Kentucky Bourbon, and it is delicious.
Nice. So for NYCC, we're not going to have Tony.
No, he's not coming. No.
All right. Are we going to? We're not going to have Tana
Scotty.
either.
Nope.
No Tana, no Scotty.
What the hell? No
We'll have
Scotty.
Mafua.
Well, yeah, that'd be great. Steggy?
Don't know.
Don't know.
I assume
did
so,
he
though.
say?
I assume so. I feel like all the comic sketch art people come.
That's true.
All right. Well, at least we'll have Steggy because hopefully, because then I can tell him, "Damn you, Ryan Stegman."
Oh, we'll be able to see DWJ. He won't have a table, but yeah, he'll be around.
Yeah. Do you know why I'm damning Ryan Stegman?
Because he draws covers you love?
Because I am powerless to just pass up an issue of anything with a Ryan Stegman cover. He gets me in so much trouble.
Yeah.
Because his covers are really nice. They're beautiful. I love to look at his lines, and I'm just like,
great news for you.
what?
Tomorrow afternoon on your lunch break at work, head on over to felixcomicart.com
There
at
we
noon.
go.
You can purchase said covers because there's a huge Steggy Marvel cover art drop tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I don't need to own them. I just think they're beautiful. I don't possess.
Just
I
because
enjoy.
Jason's on a high artist doesn't mean you have to be.
I was going to
Well,
say,
no,
I
I've
can't.
never-
I can't lead the horse to. I mean, I can lead you to the water. I can't make you drink. I mean, if you don't want to be happy, then don't be happy.
No, there are three instances where I would buy original art. Okay? In any case, if we see original art by any of these three men, I will buy it if it is affordable, which, taking into account the first two, probably not. Richard Corbin,
Not affordable.
Jack Kirby,
Not affordable.
and John Severin, and that's it.
Probably affordable.
That's what I'm saying. I would buy a John Severin war and or Western page. I don't want any of the crack stuff.
When you guys are bin diving at New York Comic Con, I'm going over to Albert's and I'm looking through.
I was just about to say, I would think Albert over, like, say, Snyder, right?
Yep. Yeah, Snyder might have some too, but I mean, Albert would be the first, I would think, for
Yep.
Severin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Or-
What is affordable?
Well,
A G or less?
I'm not paying a G for no, I'm not paying a G for art. No. So I'm probably not going to buy anything. But that's what I'm saying.
500?
Back to the reason why I'm damning Ryan Stegman, because he gives me beautiful images that fill my eyeballs. And where did those beautiful images appear? Well, he did the covers for an atypical Marvel crossover.
You know what's hilarious? It's so funny to me. I look for those listening. I think you guys know we've mentioned it many times. We have a Slack for our show. We chat it up, and one of the channels is what we read this week that we're planning at least on mentioning if it comes up, or maybe if someone else wants to read it too, so forth, so on. So I looked this week to see what Mabu's read, and it is uncanny how Vince manages to be excited by the Marvel comics that I absolutely have zero interest in. Like the ones that when I do the monthly previews video, I'm like, oh, I don't know who this is for, but it is for me.
I'm not even really offended by that. I'm really not.
No, it's not meant to be offended. I'm saying you love the symbiotes, you love Ghost Rider. It's just your thing. These are your things.
Yeah. So the crossover in question, and I'll tell you why it's atypical after I tell you. Well, you'll probably get the gist after I tell you the creative team. So it is called The Weapons of Vengeance.
Indeed it is.
And it features Ghost Rider and Wolverine together again for the first time. Mm-hmm. There is a Weapons of Vengeance Alpha. It then jumps into Ghost Rider 17, then Wolverine 36, then Weapons of Vengeance Omega. Now, here is the atypical part of this crossover. So it is a crossover with the two, at this point, obligatory Alpha and Omega bookends. And it goes into two different ongoings. The creative team is exactly the same for every issue.
That was amazing.
It's crazy.
That was perfection. Because it was the regular ongoing, or should be the ongoing artist for Wolverine.
Well, you know that Rip was
drawing it for a while, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is and it was oh crap. I think Kuder started if not this Ghost Rider, then it was it Corey? It may have been Corey. But there was but the artist who's drawing this event wasn't there at the start with Ghost Rider either.
So it's written by a man whose work I am appreciating more and more on a daily basis, Benjamin Percy. I think his Ghost Rider run is really special. And I have to thank Dap for The Whisper, because he didn't really shove it down our throats back when he read it, but it was like a soft love type thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Illustrated by Geoff Shaw.
Yes.
What up? And color art by Rain Beredo.
And that's where you're going to, normally I would say we're not ones really to judge a book by its cover or just because...
Oh, and Stegman's on the cover, yeah.
Right. So Stegman is on the cover, so you're going to buy it for Stegman. But in this case, because there have been plenty of times over the decades where we'll be fooled into thinking, oh, this cover looks awesome, and then the inside... not so much. So this here, at least, you had really, really attractive Ryan Stegman covers on all 4 issues.
Yeah.
But you had amazing Geoff Shaw art inside. So that just, it was a Felix extravaganza, but it was a really nice, it was nice to see that the interiors did actually move the story forward and give you an enjoyable experience on top of the wonderful covers.
Unlike Dap, if I start reading something and it doesn't tickle that fancy, I just stop reading it.
What are you talking about?
Well, you like to persevere. Like you're like, okay, I'm gonna see where the story's going. Like I don't give a book that luxury of seeing where the story's going.
No,
you always say that.
I think 2008 DAP was like that. I don't know about 2023.
All right,
no, dude, I bounced. I dropped Fantastic Four as soon as Miller and Hitch came out. No, I'd stick around really for Hickman's Fantastic Four. I will try something. There are some books where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to support this. I'll stick with it. But for the most part, like most Big Two stuff, if I'm not feeling it, I'm not sticking around.
But no, what I mean is you'll finish an issue.
I will.
Like
finish
I will just close the cover halfway through.
That's fair. No. Yeah,
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's and that was like long term. We had no know who you are.
I got you.
So if this didn't delight, I would have never finished the Alpha. And it's just wonderful. I'm going to tell you what it's about. Big picture. There's a social worker at the end of her rope. And now this is a flashback, okay? A lot of the early stages of the story happened in a bygone era, one we really love. So that's not an exaggeration. One we really, really love. And her name's Ms. Flores, and she's trying to find a spot for this little man named Bram, because the kid's been bouncing around foster homes, orphanages won't take him. Well, rightly so, because weird, odd things happen around the kid. He exhibits traits that one would associate with demonic possession. So, we're talking 70s here, and demonic possession, like, that was one of the culturally, that was one of the big things in the 70s was Satan and demonic possession. Biker gangs were also really, really big in the 70s. A whole mess of biker movies came out late 60s, early 70s, and all through the 70s. So the fact that Ghost Rider appeared in the early 70s was not a coincidence, because Marvel knew what was up. So the kid may be possessed. Pets go missing. People turn up dead. There's this weird, inhuman, guttural voice. Like, the kid scares people. So nobody wants him. Nobody wants to take him. The kid's back at the orphanage. They hate him because they're afraid of him. They don't want to sleep next to him. They don't even be in the same room as this kid. So the social worker, she didn't know what to do. What do I do with this kid? I feel bad for him. I got to find a place. And where does she take him? She takes him to Grey Malkin Lane, right? Mm-hmm. She heard about Charlie and his place, so she thought, maybe the kid's a mutant. We'll check him out. Charlie scans the kid and flips out. Head snaps back. Whoa! Well, he's definitely not a mutant. But Charlie claims that the boy's mind is like a storm cloud. There's a lot of shit going on in there. Most of it obscured. Can't see it, but it's not good. So he sends, the social worker and Bram on their way. So sorry, can't help you. Which pleases Wolverine to no end, because Wolverine said the kid smelled like sulfur anyway. And Wolverine only has room for one person that smells like sulfur. Yes, and that's our buddy, Nightcrawler. Mm-hmm. So Ada brings him back to the orphanage, and lickety-split, wouldn't you know it, the ceiling below the sleeping quarters explodes with blood. Bram, at least we assume it's Bram, twists all the other kids into a shredded serpentine column of flesh and bone. It's quite artfully constructed. He makes his way back to Charlie's school for gifted youngsters, and wouldn't you know it, a storm killed the power, so Wolverine has to go down to the basement to get some candles, because that's where the X-Men keep candles, in the basement. Weird. It is really weird. There's actually a panel of Wolverine coming up the steps with the candles. So Logan comes back upstairs and he finds the X-Men all beat to shit. Colossus is like halfway through a wall. Kitty's all messed up. She's got the crosshatch, bumps on her face. Charlie's knocked out of the chair, which isn't a real hard thing to do. And he looks into the room, and there's the kid with the giant anthropomorphic dog beast with a flaming head. What's happening? So Wolverine slashes at the kid, and but the demon saves him. And they both flee the school, and Wolverine's got the berserker rage on now. Oh, the red is creeping in. So he gears up, and he goes out to stop the kid and his little demon. So remember, this is a flashback, right? Young Kitty is in the X-Men. It also happens not long after Crash Simpson died. You say you say Crash Simpson, and my heart starts going ba-bum, 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 because then you got Johnny Blaze. Johnny Blaze is the Ghost Rider, my friends, and he's working the stunt cycle extravaganza alone. He's trying to jump 18 flaming buses. That's tough. But Johnny falters because he gets a vision. While he's jumping the buses, a vision comes to him, and he sees Bram's demon. Oh, the ghost, the flaming head and everything. So the Ghost Rider emerges to find the evil, but he arrives before Logan. Now this is this is classic Marvel, classic 100% Marvel. So Logan arrives. Now remember, Ghost Rider's there. Logan arrives, and he's got the rage going on. and he sees Logan's flaming skull, and he thinks, this is the thing I'm looking for, because a blue motorcycle suit looks a lot like a giant anthropomorphic dog beast. You know, it's typical Marvel. The heroes are going to fight first, and then they'll see there's a misunderstanding. And, you know, this is I think, real tough Wolverine. Like the early Professor X's school with Kitty and Nightcrawler, Wolverine was really tough back then. I mean, yes, he's always been made of stern stuff, but I mean, gritty, nasty, willing to kill. Remember when he killed the guards? And it's like, Wolverine killed the guards, but we wouldn't do it. But he's the one who does all that stuff. But Ghost Rider kicks his ass. Right down, he kicks Wolverine's ass.
He really does.
Yeah. And so they're talking, and Logan's, you know, he's not sure. You're not the evil that I'm looking for. So then the story, as you may expect, it jumps to the present day, and it's happening again. Get this, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
The Weapon X program, or the Weapon Plus program, has a Hellfire division.
I'm not mad at that.
No, that's awesome. That is so amazing. So the story comes to the present, but it's post Hellfire Gala. So Wolverine's like, there's not many of us left, yo. And now the twisting and the ripping of the serpent sculptural things that the demon was making, they're starting to reappear, but it's not humans that it's hunting, it's mutants.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's kind of where it becomes topical, right? It's a Wolverine Ghost Rider crossover. So Jeff Bannister appears, right? Talia Warroad from the Ghost Rider book joins the party. They mention the Codex Gigas. I almost lost my pantalones. Yeah, I almost died. There's a character I've only seen him maybe briefly. Like, I don't have a lot of experience with this dude, Father Pike, but he's in the Weapon Plus Hellfire program, and we get to actually know the demon's name. It's Baragul. So once you know the demon's name, you have power over it. But I thought this crossover was just a shit ton of fun. I loved all of it. It's drawn really well, right? And if you give me Johnny Blaze on the seat with the classic blue, and what's bad about this? Nothing. Yeah,
seeing Geoff draw the old school, old style Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider in the old carnival outfit. That made my day. It was because I know, listen, it's leather and chains, and you want to make it. Yes, it's Johnny Blaze, even though he looks like Danny Ketch. Whatever. I fine, but there's just something about those old Bob Budiansky comics that's my Ghost Rider. It's as corny or cheesy it may be. That's my Ghost Rider.
Right. It's like soul food at this point. Seeing Johnny in the blues. You don't know because you weren't around, but biker gang stuff was everywhere in the 70s.
Yeah, it's true.
You really couldn't escape it. And Marvel was picking up on what people were putting down, like Black Power, the Black Panthers and everything.
The Mark was a biker.
Nice.
Yeah.
The martial arts movies were huge.
Yep.
Like, and Marvel, it was like Marvel was taking notes, and then DC was taking notes of what Marvel was taking notes on. Right. So Marvel, I think, had a jump on the horror stuff a long time before. I don't want to say long time before DC, but more particular horror stuff. Like Marvel glommed onto their own horror characters instead of using. Well, they also had Frankenstein and Dracula because they were public domain. Yeah. Right. But DC would be just like, let's have two houses and we'll tell horror tales. I mean, don't get me wrong. The books are great. House of Secrets and Mystery are wonderful books. But DC was always lagging behind Marvel when it came to the trends. Black Goliath, Black Panther, and then DC had Black Lightning, but it was just like they were trying to play catch up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I love DC, but I got to give it to Marvel. I don't know if it was Stan or if it was Roy whispering in Stan's ear, "Hey, the kids are looking at this stuff." But somebody at Marvel was paying attention in the 70s. And while we're on the subject, Incredible Hulk #4 came out today.
Yeah, I didn't check it yet.
And it features my favorite Marvel character after Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Man-Thing. It's not drawn by Nick Klein.
Oh, who drew it?
I don't even know, because I opened it up and I'm like, what? And I closed it. I closed the cover and I was like, well, I'll get to you when I get to you.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, there's no immediacy now.
Damn.
And it's odd because didn't Incredible Hulk #3 come out like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So
it seems like it was pretty recent.
Yeah, hot on the heels. And I was just like, oh, Man-Thing. And Dave looks at me and he just shakes his head and goes, like not going to survive. Mom's not going to make it.
Yes. Poor mom.
But anyway, this crossover just stoked the red hot coals of my in my heart for the love for these two characters. That was cumbersome, but it's true. I really like, as much as I like to piss Jason off and call him, the dwarf and the Canuck and stuff, I really like Wolverine.
Oh, you do, for sure.
I do.
Dude, so many times in the last year or two, you've been like, did you read the Wolverine issue?
Because it was great.
It's true.
I read it, and you're like, why aren't you excited? I'm like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think Ben Percy's a very good writer, so I have no complaints about his writing quality. But it's just, and we've talked about this before, I just don't. I love Beast too much that I don't like what Marvel's done to him.
See, that's weird. That's of all the characters you could have that love for, Beast shouldn't be one of them.
But he's the nerdy smart guy. Like that's what, growing up. That's like I identified with him. That was like, oh, okay.
Well, there's no other nerdy smart guys in Marvel Universe.
No, but X-Men were my thing though. But
throw your love at Peter Parker.
Hank Pym's a wife beater.
Well, I mean, I like Peter Parker just fine, but I'm a little too young for Peter to be my guy.
Hank Pym's a wife beater. I just never saw the attraction in Beast before the fur. That's BF in Marvel chronology. He was annoying and uninteresting, and I just think after the fur, he was like, whatever. The only good thing that touched the Beast was Gil Kane.
I mean, now you're just being hurtful, but
I'm not being hurtful. He's just, I don't think he's a fun character at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I like him as a villain. I think he works really well.
About all the incarnations of Ghost Rider and every symbiote. So we're even.
Now, why you got to lump everything in one package? That's super hurtful. Just because I'm going after the beach, well, fuck you and everything you love.
Because I like Green Furry Beasts. I mean, you have to take a swipe at my guys, but there's symbiotes. No, I'm with you on symbiotes. But the
I'd say you're all being hurt.
Funny. Are you? No, really not. Looks on everything. The what I enjoyed about so I'm a little behind on Ghost Rider on the Ghost Rider series, so
it's so
I need
good
to get back to it, but I jumped ahead on this because normally if it's a crossover, I'm like, well, I'm not reading, like, this is only a two book crossover. I mean, minus the bookends, but if I'm talking about like a line wide or multiple book crossover with where I'm reading like one or maybe two of the books in it. But again, obviously, there's no hard and fast rule because the whole damn Carnage thing a month or so back. But this was this. I'm glad I saw you were reading it, so I said, all right, then let me just jump ahead, skip whatever the hell I'm missing on Ghost Rider, and just it's not a big investment because
it's only 4 issues.
It's only 4 issues. Yeah. 2 of them are a little extra size maybe, but it's going to make a really nice collection, especially with the same creative team throughout. But this was a lot of fun. It's I mean, Wolverine was maybe silly, but overall,
yeah, it was silly. But I was gonna throw that at Jason at the end. Jason, he puts the Weapon X helmet on. Uh-huh. And it gives them opportunity.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, they both get suckered into they get Pearl Harbored, and they both end up wearing the Weapon X helmet. Johnny Blaze and
Yes, and Wolverine turns into Hellverine.
That's cool. I don't mind stuff like that.
No, it is cool because it's a blip. It's a momentary.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're smoothing out the sheets.
It served the purpose because he's trying to, you know, it's because of who Bram is and what he's walking around with. It does. Percy makes it all make sense. Yeah. But it was, I mean, great. Seeing our or what's a lot of us would feel is our version of the X-Men was great to see from the flashback. Seeing the old Johnny Blaze. It's just been it's a really entertaining crossover. It's just it is nice to know that it reminds me of those old days where, you know, where one character would show up in a comic and then you could read the rest of it in that comic of the character who showed up in the first book, but it's without needing to read 18 other issues to get an idea where the hell it's going. This was this was a nice little distraction. I enjoyed it a lot.
Now, if you weren't reading Ghost Rider and this Talia character pops up, you're going to be like, I'm going to check out this, and vice versa, because I think both Bannister and Talia are really compelling, interesting, well-crafted characters that it's kind of like the Metropolis or the Parker, you know, cast of characters. They're all awesome. They're all really, interesting, well-rounded characters. That's what an ongoing needs to survive, I think, because Ghost Rider and Wolverine are both compelling, but if you surround them with interesting characters, it gets even more so. And I like Geoff Bannister a lot. And, well, this Talia, I'm just become, introduced to her. So she's a lot of fun. And the series, the 4 issues are violent as hell. You should see some of this. Like, they're not pulling punches. The sculptures, body parts, nastiness, severed heads, entrails, like it's pretty. We're talking Hellraiser level grotesque here, and I appreciated that very much, because if you have a demon, right, and it's ripping people apart to create art, I don't think there's going to be, pussyfooting around it. It's going to be violent and disgusting, as it should be. It's a demon. And I like that about this little crossover as well. I think it's wonderful.
Getting Shaw to do the art is a big get, I think.
Yeah, it's very attractive.
Right.
Yeah, very much.
Well, we should just keep it going and make it a quick Marvel-O-Rama, because we rarely have a Marvel-O-Rama anymore.
Oh, and I will make a Marvel-O-Rama right now.
Nice.
Yeah,
I read 2 Marvel *1s this week.
I read 1.
I know, I saw that. So we'll start with the one you didn't read, but I think maybe Vince at least looked through it because of his pre-launch commentary. And that is Avengers, Inc. You all know I'm Avengers Mark, so I'm always going to try an Avengers title. This was billed as a noirish detective take on the Avengers, which sounded kind of neat. It's written by Al Ewing, who I'm certainly a big fan of, and it is drawn by Leonard Kirk. The premise is exactly as promised. Janet Van Dyne, a.k.a. the Wasp, is at the Raft, which is for the uninitiated, one of the Marvel super prisons. The villain Whirlwind, who is spinny top dude. He's a speedster and he throws blades. He is murdered in his prison cell at the Raft, shot in the head. And when all you see of the killer is you don't see anything. You hear them say the famous words of Scourge, who was what was that? Probably in the 80s when we got that line of right when Scourge was going around killing off the
with the rose and stuff.
Right, justice is served, so it's alluding to that, and the Whirlwind's dead. So Janet comes in because she's got ties to the Whirlwind. He stalked her, and not that many people read this, but the Wasp miniseries that came out a few months back, Whirlwind was the antagonist in that, and Janet ended up sending him to prison. So she's taking some kind of ownership in this because she figures like, well, he was awaiting trial in prison and killed, and he wouldn't be there if it weren't for me. So she's curious, and when she gets to the Raft morgue to inspect the body, lo and behold, he's not the only Cadaver, there are 5 other C-list villains who have been murdered in the same way, or so it seems. And we really go from there. She begins to investigate it. She is, for reasons I don't need to get into because it's kind of a little convoluted, but Luke Cage, who's the mayor of New York at this point, has asked her to investigate, but not with costumes, because right now there's a ban in New York City on costumed vigilante heroism. So she basically, it's a detective, it's a whodunit, and all is not what it seems. We find out at the end of the first issue who either is responsible or at least somehow involved, and it's a bit of a shocker. Certainly ties into the early Avengers and Janet's history, wink wink. But yeah, I thought it was good. I will say that I've always thought of myself as a Leonard Kirk art fan, but I thought the art was just okay in this. I thought it looked a little uneven.
Wow.
Where some panels I thought were great, others I thought weren't really on point. I always attribute, like in my mind, I attribute that to the artist rushing, having a deadline. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but but again, it was fine. Like it wasn't a turnoff. I didn't think it didn't blow me away though. But yeah, I'm here for it. It's a miniseries. I don't remember if it's 5 or 6 issues, but it'll be fun. I think it'll be a fun little oddball take on the Avengers. Did you read events or did you? Because you made
no. I didn't get a chance to put it on my list, but I thought it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
It's pretty ballsy though, because if you're gonna enter Scourge territory, that was a really beloved, respected time in Spider-Man and Marvel history. So I think you gotta. There's maybe a requisite amount of eggshell walking when you do that, because it's so well remembered. But I thought it's really, really ballsy.
Yeah.
But I gotta, part ways with you on the Kirk. I thought the Kirk art was super solid.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I kept reading the first issue in the first place. I was like, oh man, this is looking good, and it's Janet. Like,
it is.
Hubba.
And the other number 1 that I read, and no surprise that Dap joined me in this, is Daredevil number 1, which is written by Saladin Ahmed and art by our show, Mr. Aaron Kuder. So now I read a big chunk of Zdarsky's run, but then they did the whole thing with I forget the name of it, but where it was some kind of event street level crossover, and then they kind of lost me with that, and so I got away from it. I haven't I'm at least a year, if not more, removed from Daredevil continuity, and this definitely, I definitely felt that reading this, but this is basically I mean, they make it clear, and at least to their credit, they make it clear at the beginning that through circumstances which again I didn't read, but I'll take their word for it. Matt was killed and brought back to life, and he is now living in New York as a priest with no memory of being Daredevil. And that's kind of how the book starts, and we go from there. I mean, the reason I read this is because many Daredevil runs have been all-time great runs, right? I mean, and usually if they're good at the start, they are good for many years, because it's kind of become one of those. Daredevil's been one of those books where great writers at Marvel get a chance to write Daredevil, and they try and make their mark on it, right? And have oftentimes have had really successful efforts. So I figured, okay, well, Ahmed's been at Marvel for a while, and he's done some things I've enjoyed, and this is clearly his shot at the big time in that regard. And but for me, and I don't have any idea what Dap thought of it, but for me, this didn't pull me in. And I don't want to. I don't know how to say this without I don't want to be misconstrued. But for me, as much as I like Aaron's art in general, I thought it was an odd fit for Daredevil. It felt like I love chicken fingers and I love Reese's peanut butter cups, but I don't eat chicken fingers with peanut butter cups. You know what I mean? Like it's like I like Aaron's work, It just didn't feel like it was the right aesthetic choice for me. Just like I wouldn't expect like Chris Burnham to be on Daredevil, So for me, it's a bit of a whiff. I didn't. It certainly didn't make me say, okay, I'm going to get back into Daredevil for a nice long run. It's probably one and done for me. But I have no idea what Man King Dap thought.
It's Daredevil. I got to give it a shot. Did a nice job recapping what he's been through the Zdarsky run, since I bailed on that pretty early on.
Mm-hmm.
It is weird. It's weird seeing Matt smile, Matt being happy, Matt with this new gig. I agree with you on the art. However, things do pick up once the action picks up after the back half of the book. I thought Aaron's action scenes were pretty good. But it is just a lot of sitting around and talking and
very bright too. Like it's like
it is extremely bright.
Right.
It's because it's not Wilson. It's Jesus Aburtov is your color artist, but it's not necessarily, legacy characters aren't always a hard no for me, but it's hard for me to wrap my head around a Daredevil comic where the Daredevil that I'm used to takes so long to show up. And I get it. That was the story, and that's fine, and that's probably why the first issue had a few extra pages to it, so they could take their time and actually tell you what they want to tell you, and that's fine. I might come back for the second issue because I know where this cliffhanger is going, but I just want to see. I want to see Matt in the costume a little more. And it's weird. It's not like the reveal of the big bad in the first issue was enough to took me and say, okay, well, I got to see where this is going. I'm more curious than slamming my fist down, handing over my money. It's just, I mean, we get the Man in Black again, which was neat to see. They rarely. There's even kind of like a John Romita-esque version of Daredevil peeking on a rooftop. It's not a it hits kind of it ticks off the boxes if you're a Daredevil fan. Little things you see here and there, and some of the characters that are the supporting cast that is and I mean they were real quick to reveal the mystery of the benefactor for the church for the youth home, but that again, that was deliberate. I'm optimistic. I think even if I don't stick around with it after the first couple of issues, I have hopes that this will pick up some speed, build up some momentum, and be and will be a solid run. Is it going to be up there with Bendis and Brubaker and Wade? It's way too early to tell. Based on this, I mean, we've seen Matt start off new series with a whole bunch of different odd jobs, and this isn't unusual that we're not starting off with Matt as a lawyer, but it's like I said, it's a Daredevil, so I got to give it a shot for the first issue, and. Granted, I'm probably behind an 8 ball because even though they do a great job of letting you know what's going on, it's very easy to still have questions with this issue. But we'll see. I'm not. I didn't. It didn't make me say I don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm hoping for the best with them.
Yeah. I looked at it long enough to get the gist.
Right.
I think the saving grace is Kuder.
Yep.
Once the talking heads go away and the action starts mounting, I think it looks great. Starting from like the rooftop stare down to the flashback about everything that happened in the previous run. Like I think from there on the book looks really sharp. I mean, it all looks sharp, but then it's more interesting when the action starts. But for me, if you put Matt in a priest collar and in the thick of things, he starts praying, I'm done. I have no desire to read that at all. Like, whatever. I don't find priests very interesting, number one. Number two, I certainly don't find Daredevil as a priest interesting. And it's just like, so you're fighting a creature and you start reciting scripture or whatever? Like, no, that's freaking ridiculous. I can't read that. So I'm done. But I wish them well because I think Kuder's really good. I just would like to see him on something other than this. Right?
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
gonna
a
thumb down, a thumb in the middle, and a thumb up.
Yeah. I'm going to take my precious seconds to get out from under the claws of this creature by reciting Bible verse. Yeah. Real smart.
And showing off your fancy rosary beads.
Yeah, it's real smart.
These rosary beads?
Didn't do the Waynes any good. Oh no, they were pearls. Sorry.
They were pearls.
Damn. I tried to do a double slam, couldn't do it.
Yeah, come on.
But how do you know? How do you know? Maybe Mom had rosaries somewhere.
Maybe there were Benoit balls.
Buttman, not Batman. So
Marvel-O-Rama.
Yeah, and it does.
Not the most impassioned Marvel-O-Rama, but
most of it, I thought Avengers Inc. #1 was very good.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think I'm definitely aboard for it. I think it was good. Yeah.
One of the things that really made me happy and impressed me at the same time was like, nah, no costumes, can't do it.
Right.
So it's going to be street level, low chroma. Like, why not? I'm down. We don't have any spandex running around. That's kind of fun for a mini series. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that. I mean, that's slow death for the Marvel Universe. It's like shooting yourself into a foot if you launched an ongoing with no
can't have that.
Yeah, no, you can't. But for a miniseries, yeah, it's fine. I would more than well read this. But so I told you guys to read something. I begged you guys to read something.
You did.
No, well, it was, you did beg, but you did say as long as you have an available pre-moistened slot.
Right. And there wasn't a lot of heavy lifting with this. It is tied to a much, much larger universe, but you don't have to know any of it. In fact, one of the main characters dies in a way that is not depicted in here. So, but we are playing with time and space. So there are a lot of loopholes and leeway granted when it's a title like this. I just want to hear what you think about it because it is called The Incal Dying Star by Dan Waters, the writer, and illustrated by Jon-Davis Hunt. I loved every page of it. I think it is. It's kind of hard not to get all gushy and sentimental when the story is very heartfelt and I think this is one of the more emotional. Jodorowsky's a great writer, but sometimes emotion eludes him. More often than not. This was very easy to digest, spoken in a language that I think is pretty much universal, and it plucked at the heartstrings. I admit there were a number of times across the course of these 120 whatever pages that I got kind of choked up because I thought the story was beautifully orchestrated. But I want to hear what you guys say. You tell me about it. I could talk about this for a book.
It was all right.
Oh my god!
Nah, dude. Honestly, like you came at us with this impassioned, like, por favor, if you have the time, would you please do me the honor of reading this, please?
Yeah.
And So first of all, let me preset. The Incal is one of the great white whales of things that I still haven't read that I own.
Same.
And it's ridiculous that I haven't read it.
I've read this. I heard something the other day that the Incal is the largest selling graphic novel in history. And I was like,
I gotta believe Watchmen has it trounced, but okay,
I don't know. I mean, the world is not the United States, but whatever.
No, I know. Yeah, whatever. But either way, I mean, it's one of those really important books, and it's like I said, it's not like I don't own it. I've had it for years, and anyway, so I'm like, oh man, you know. And to your point, when you asked us to read it, I thought, okay, hopefully I won't. I'll be interested to see if not having any exposure to the Incal to this point is a problem. And to your point, they go out of their way to not make that an issue. And in fact, I love the opening discussion where Jodorowsky talks about, you know, his that it's time to hand off the reins. He's 93, and he's gotten, when he was younger, the idea of someone else touching this world would have appalled him, but now he's embraced it and he's enjoying it. So I thought, okay, he's blessed this. This is all blessed and it's its own thing. And then usually you save your guys. You got to read this for, you know, you have a very high hit rate with that. It's not like you're going to come at us with something if you're not pretty sure it's transcendent.
Right.
I thought it was fantastic. Easily one of the best things I've read this year.
Nice.
Oh nice. Yeah, it was beautiful. And so. You know, orthogonal, like the just not your everyday concepts. Even though the setting, because there's only so many settings you can tell stories in, right? Like the setting itself, maybe not like something I'm not unfamiliar with, but just the quirks and the little nuances. Again, this being a pirate, but the pirate is he's lonely and he's got this, you know, group of holograms that are his friends, and it's like very almost like melancholy because of it. And then he's still but when it's time to be a pirate, though, he gets back into that swashbuckling, you know, grinning, like I'm gonna get the best of you kind of mode. And then, you know, with the idea of bringing this effectively, I mean, it's a violin of sorts. I don't know if it's technically a violin, but it looks like a violin. And, you know, the idea of intertwining music into the idea of cosmic power and be able to transcend time and space. I mean, that's a beautiful concept. I mean, we saw that in, you know, we've seen that in other stories, but like obviously with Final Crisis, that was a very controversial thing with Final Crisis, is how much music played a role. And I think you and I, Vince, were both big fans of the idea. And for some people, it really bothered them. But I love that concept. And and then yeah, I mean, and then you know, you knew or at least I knew as I was reading it, that it would have some kind of, or I presumed it would have some kind of really satisfying hook toward the end that brings the two time periods together in a more linear, direct way, and it does. And then you're like, oh, and it had the right amount of. It's really hard in a story of this size, because it's not that big, right? It's it's basically like a 6-issue miniseries, basically.
Yeah.
To give you, to be able to straddle like a compelling narrative and adventure and emotion and big concepts and humor, to do all that in 6 issues is tough. And I think lots have tried and many have failed, because it just gets too many things all at once and nothing really ever connects, because there's no, it's a very, I think you have to be a very astute writer to pull all those strings together in a satisfying way in such a short amount of pages. And they did it, and Waters did it, and I thought it was fantastic. And it makes me wonder if the other non-Jodorowsky Incal stuff that's out, or I know the third one's coming out soon, if that is must read as well.
No, they're all must read.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Psychoverse a while back, and it's very good. This has been the best offshoot to date. Nothing touches this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kill Wolfhead's coming up very soon.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah, which looks amazing. But this
makes me want to. And this really makes. I mean, this definitely has reignited the what's the matter with me, and I need to go read the Incal ACP.
Well, and it's odd because Kamen's not a giant figure in the Incal. I mean, he's
so Kamen is in the Incal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, he's not John DeFool. Like, he's not top tier character in the Incal, this is great, because I love it when they flesh out other characters, but the scene when he's playing that violin to love something so much that you destroy your fingers playing this thing. There's blood pouring out of your fingers and you're desperately trying to reach across time to contact this person. Like, that is a gut-wrenching scene. I don't care. You could pretend you're stoic, whatever, when you have a cutthroat, anarchist, bloodthirsty pirate that would kill with zero provocation, just lop your head right off if he felt that it needed to be done, to lock souls with a priestess of a ridiculous order that worships entropy, and because she tested him and he thought that she was worthy. Like, there's not many people worthy for Captain Cayman, and he tested her. She tried to open the airlock and he's like, fuck, this girl's hardcore, yo. And so they formed a bond, and then she was stripped away from him. To just try and reach across time and space to get to someone, like, that is fucking beautiful. Where else do you see that in comics?
Yep.
Right? And you can hear it in your head. The song is rising in crescendo, and he's bleeding, and it just boom, like, oh God. It's heartbreaking, and it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. I loved every friggin' page of this thing. This is one that, I know I say this a lot, but this is one, you put this on your shelf in like 6 months, you'll go back to it, you'll find new things buried in this. You'll read it again, you'll be like, God damn, that was a great story. I want to remember what it felt like the first time I read this, to hear in my mind's ear Cayman playing this violin to try and get back his
Yep.
It's just amazing. Dap, did you love it?
Before Dap speaks, I just want to say it's books like this that do reboot or refill my faith in comics.
That's exactly why I told you to read it.
Yeah, because you're like, read things and you're like, okay, this is why I keep at this, because there are special stories like this, and and we get them often enough that I can deal with some mid stuff every now and then.
Yeah, Psychoverse is really good, but it's more bric-a-brac level good. Like, there are concepts that they explore in the Incal universe. They're fun and stuff, but nah, this is a story that everyone that has a beating human heart can understand. Like, this is a universal language. Sorry, Dap.
That's okay. This was fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely. I couldn't stop. I think I actually came back off of lunch late because I couldn't put it down. It's just the art's fantastic. Jon-Davis, I know he did the Wildstorm book that Ellis wrote.
Can't hold that against him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm saying. I mean, that looked great, and it's a book I actually want to go back to, because I read the first couple of issues, and it just never got back to it. So he's worked with some pretty talented writers, obviously, but this was, just between, there really isn't, there's not a bad page, there's not a bad angle, the way anything's drawn. It looks fantastic. Even the holographic pirates, I mean, their conversations were great. Cayman's a great character, and there's just, you never know. He's not what you think he is, because as you go through the chapters and you see what else he's dealt with and where he came from, it all kind of, the little bit the little I know of him from this book, it all makes sense, and all the creatures and the other characters that appear are just extremely well fleshed out, even though, like, we're only seeing them for like a handful of panels at most. And I'm glad you asked us to read it. Nice. It really was it's a gem. I can't and obviously the Incal something I have to read as well as the dozen odd spin-offs from it, or offshoots, whatever you want to call them. But even the little side conversations here and there between the other pirates, and things happen to people who you want to see You wanted to see what actually happens to, and everybody gets what they deserve for the most part. I mean, and Jon-Davis Hunt. I mean, he has this way of like when Cayman's playing the Mourner with the Navigator on his back, and he's got the
it's a great
the
scene.
It's beautiful, but I mean, like you can feel the action in this still image, just him playing the music and everything whipping around. I can't, and like you guys said with the airlock scene as well. I mean, she's out there floating and he's going to reach her. It's just like, even though these two-dimensional images, it's like he does a fantastic job of showing you. It's great. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah, clean line too. I shouldn't like
Absolutely.
this. I shouldn't like this as much as I do, but I do.
I'm surprised at that. But yeah.
No, I thought the art was great. Yeah,
I love this art. Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, when you pull back and you look at all the moving parts in this book, it shouldn't work.
That's what I'm saying.
There's too many things.
So much complexity.
Yeah, there's too many things that
it should feel disjointed and uneven, and the tone should feel like it's out of whack because
they're cliches.
So wait a minute. Your main character has a genetic mutation that is slowly turning him into a reptile. Okay, so he attacks a space cruiser in order to get this rose. The distillation of the rose would, he assumes, squelch his genetic mutation and allow him to use the hand that is turning reptilian and get rid of his tail. All right. But wait a minute. He finds a violin on the ship, a violin that can, the notes of which can transcend space and time. But oh, look, because the rose worked, his hand turns normal. He can play the violin. Oh, okay. That makes sense. It's just, when you think about it, there's too many variables, but it all works perfectly. Like, the concepts in this book are so high, and they're just immediately discarded. Well, okay, this violin can transcend space and time, and the duration, as long as the notes echo, those two souls that were linked will continue to be linked, but once the notes expire, it needs to be played again. Like, that's a great concept. And then it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Now we have to go over here because there's another concept that I've injected into the story that is just as cool as, like, the freaking navigators. Two characters who know where everything is in space and time. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm going to wear one on my back as I play this freaking violin. Like, oh, it's almost too much. It's almost too much. Like, if this was a movie, it would be better than The Fifth Element. I know, that's almost blasphemy, right? But I'm just saying, this is the complexity of this. Don't let it dissuade you from reading it. I think everyone, who doesn't like a good love story now and then, right? Yeah. This is the story about a priestess who melted the heart of a despicable, bloodthirsty space pirate, and everything else ensues. It's beautiful. You'll be able to understand it. You don't have to have read any of the Incal. Just buy this book. Yeah, Dying Star. Which, I mean, there is a little bit of retconning going on here, because I remember Cayman's ship being called the Lucky Star. So,
interesting.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that the effects of conceptually, Dying Star is way better than Lucky Star.
But maybe it's called that because it's it's far flung future and his crew's all gone
and it's only him. Yeah,
right. But when we do actually,
to your point, though, you don't usually change your ship's name, but I get you.
Right, we do actually see the demise of Captain Cayman in one of the Incal books, and and it doesn't go down like this.
Okay.
But it was well played, because it does go down, and there's vagaries. Like, there's a gray area. After he says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, he gets the kid. There's a whole mess of gray in there. So the way it did happen could have worked, but the violin could have changed the outcome by, well, I don't want to say it, because it plays heavily into the end of this book, and it's a gut punch, and you got to read it. So Dying Star, Humanoids, part of the Incal, but Not really. I mean, it is, but you don't really need to know much about the Incal to read it. Just go get it. It's probably going to be the best thing you've read in a long, 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 long time.
Oh, for sure.
So much read.
Yeah.
Preach.
And the blade, the hematopathic blade that whenever it tastes, it allows the wielder of the blade to know the thoughts and feelings of those whose blood stains it. Like, that's awesome.
Biggie facts.
Yeah, that is amazing. Love it. I wish I had one of them.
Hemata blade, baby.
Yeah.
What's Hemata you?
Don't you look so sad. Hey.
Hey-oo.
Okay. So what else do we have? We got to have more.
Yeah, I mean, I want to mention something. It doesn't need a deep dive. We've kind of covered it, at least in chunks, in other times past. But it was one of those things where in my DCBS box this week, this arrived, and I was looking and thought, you know what? If I don't sit down and read this right now, this is gonna just go into the pile and get lost in the ether because I'm not going to think about it, and it's not going to be like it's not going to be top of mind and then be like, oh, I never went ahead and read that. So as soon as I got the box, sat down, made some coffee, opened this up, it's the first thing I read out of the box, and that is the hardcover from Dynamite. Yes, a Dynamite book. We're just talking about Dynamite book. The Invincible Red Sonja, written by Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, with art by Moritat, old school friend of the show. And you know, I know I talked about the first issue. I think we collectively have talked about this series a bit. I'm a huge fan of Jimmy and Amanda's writing. It's always the right mix of sexy and adventure and funny. So I knew I'd like this, regardless of I don't have as much of an affinity for Red Sonja as a character that, say, Vince does. But and then I know Moritat can draw his ass off, particularly when it comes to the ladies. So I knew that he'd do us right that way. And sure enough, he did. So basically, though, like I said, it doesn't need a really deep dive because this is exactly what you would think it is. It is sort of anecdotal adventures of Red Sonja. She's shocked. This is going to shock many people. Red Sonja starts off the series on a pirate ship. I know that's crazy for these barbarians to be part of a pirate ship, but and the crew gets gaffled, and she rescues a woman who then in turn sets her up in a situation that is suboptimal for her, where she basically has to she gets mind controlled by an ne'er-do-well despot and has to fight on the wrong side, and then of course she frees herself and has to then get revenge in a very bloody, satisfying style, and it was all good. It was all good. I mean, I think that Moritat's art really sung here. Yeah. He can draw beautiful ladies and great action, and this book is resplendent in that. You see plenty of Sonja in very suggestive, poses, if not completely naked, which I'm here for, and it had that Jimmy Amanda pathos that that if you're familiar with their other works, you're going to feel right at home here. So it was fun. It was fun, and I mean, they didn't have a very long run on the book. I think they just got in and got out, told their story, and moved
10
on.
issues.
Yeah, and it was a blast. So really enjoyed it. Definitely, if anyone's in the mood for some sword and sorcery, then this is certainly worthy of of putting on your pile.
Yeah, I love it when Dynamite knows when to quit it. Like a 10-issue series with Jimmy and Amanda and Moritat, that's a really nice run, all quality. Why belabor the point, right? Don't have somebody else come in to take over for any of those creative individuals, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Just cancel the damn or end the series and start something else with somebody other. Dynamite has been doing that for a number of years now, where, like with Barbarella, they'll just do a little isolated 5 or 10 issue series, and then they'll just do something else later down the line. And I think that's really smart, because it if it's a creative team that speaks to a readership more robust than you're used to, then awesome. But if you're using mid to lower tier people, then it's not going to really work. But the Dynamite formula so far has been to put really solid creators on these things, which is great. We don't want to see a Dynamite tryout book. That would be shudder-inducing. Right.
Right.
So, but yeah, I like the way Dynamite's been handing out these limited, extended. What do they? Marvel used to call them maxi series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, DC was maxi series. Marvel was still a limited series. Even if it was a 12 issue, it was still a limited series.
The longest limited series of all time, wasn't it?
Transformers?
Yeah.
Number
No,
one,
would it have to be
of a
Punisher,
4-issue
right?
miniseries?
Didn't the
Well,
Punisher?
Punisher was number 5 of a 4-issue miniseries.
Well, no, isn't Transformers? Because isn't
Transformers was ended with 81, and then I
Yeah.
think the cover even said 81 of a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah.
But Punisher lasted longer than 81, didn't it?
But no, it renumbered it.
Right, they have
regardless of what it said on the cover.
Originally the Stephen Grant, Mike Zeck book was only supposed to be 4 issues at first. Then it became a 5th issue.
Oh, and then they renumbered it.
But then,
relaunched
the Mike Barron, Barron series started off as a
gotcha. So Transformers was the longest miniseries.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
That makes sense. Yep.
And they do the same thing with the Bond books, the 007 stuff. Every time a new writer comes around, they get to tell their version of. They get to tell their Bond story.
Yeah.
Even though the Ellis stuff, I mean, he wrote a bunch of shorter. He wrote a bunch of different stories with subtitled differently, but no, you're right. That Dynamite does. I mean, it's crazy that they have more covers than they do issues in a series, but it's all good.
That's what sells, man.
That goddamn new release list, it goes on for days because it's all just the variants that Dynamite puts out.
But they're smart enough to let our man Tony Fleece write.
Oh yeah,
because we got the take a peek at the Army of Darkness second issue. Tony sent it to us. I didn't open it yet, but did he send it to you? Because I got it.
Did he text you?
Yeah.
I didn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he
just texted you then.
In typical Tony style, he texted me a link to a file. Like, what am I going to do with that? I got to upload it to Dropbox. Like, stop, or Google Drive. Don't know. But anybody else, I'd be like, delete. But it's Tony, and it's Army of Darkness. I got to see it.
You got to do it. Yeah.
So I don't know how that sumbitch wormed his way into our hearts, but he did.
You're welcome.
I don't know. You say the same of us, though.
Yeah, that's the big mystery.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the 6 degrees of separation is Pat Loika. Because By
the way, I'm glad you had. Have you? Yes. I know Vince hasn't because he's on socials, but
Pat.
Oh, he is looking fantastic.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
It's so nice to see, man. It really is great to see.
Yep. He had a blast at Dragon Con. It was really the photos he took were amazing. He's over here looking like Sebastian Shaw at the Hellfire Gala. It was great.
Do you hear some of the stories from Dragon Con?
No.
Could the person that gave me the blowjob wherever please bring me my wallet? It looks like a Nintendo NES. Like what is happening? We need to really go to Dragon Con, dude.
Yes,
seriously.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, if they're handing them out in elevators, man.
Shit.
Take my Vampirella wallet. I don't care.
With the chain?
Yeah, no. I would never ever wear a chain. There's not enough greenbacks in it to warrant a chain. No.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. What else do we have? I'll be honest, I don't have very much else.
No, yeah,
busy week.
It was I finally I forgot that I had it, but because I was waiting for it, and I'm like, wait, and I pulled it out of the goddamn stack. But the 6th issue of Adventures of Superman John Kent has come out. I thought, and this is a me thing, I thought it was kind of like, I thought maybe Taylor was going to use this miniseries to kind of like put the cap on the whole Injustice stuff. But he didn't, which is fine for anybody who's still a fan of the whole Injustice universe. It doesn't go away at the end of this. But John does have to deal with the fact that the Superman of this world is pretty much a ruthless dictator who everybody is afraid of, and it's weird. As a Superman fan, it's weird to see, but I get it with this concept, with this reality. But John needs to he needs to show this world that there can be a different way, a better way, and that means he'll have to go up against Superman. So the issue starts off with him kind of just chilling and giving himself, that's not really the right word, but he's basically in the sun so he can recharge. And he's got a checklist, and the first person he goes to see is the Flash. And basically he's like, listen, I need this is what I need, and I need you to not interfere. Like, let me do this. I promise you, I will not hurt Clark, but I need to do this, and I can't have you interrupting me. And they have a lengthy conversation, which of course is just in a matter of seconds because of how fast they're talking. But Barry does say, listen, if you hurt Clark, I will catch up to you. And John's like, yeah, no, I know, we're good. And then he takes out Hawkgirl by I remove her wings as soon as she finishes her sentence when she says, I'm here in Metropolis and there's no sign of him, Diana. He's like, so I ripped her wings off, making Hawkgirl just girl, I guess, which is maybe smart. Then he the next order of business, he notices Hal Jordan's yellow light burns above Gamora, so he goes and takes he takes Hal's ring. Moving faster than a great will can form, I'm moving faster than fear. Before Hal knows I'm here, I've removed his weapon of terror, and he looks scared. Jay Nakamura, who of course is his boyfriend on Earth Zero or Earth Prime or whatever, he did in an earlier issue, John did go to see him just to get some perspective on this world, and Damian had actually tracked John to Jay's apartment, and they end up basically kidnapping Jay, holding him hostage. After he deals with Hal, he comes in. Now his the electricity portion of his power set kicks in, and he comes in behind Diana and just basically grabs her, and they start he just starts flying with her, like basically kind of just wrapped in his arms. And he's like, she's got the power of Hermes, the speed of a god, but I'm faster. She begins to react as we're passing Jupiter, and she finally manages to attack him. She gives him a massive elbow to the face as they reach Titan, and they start. She's talking down to him at first, and she's like, you could have been so much to Kal-El. You could have been some of the love he lost. I will bury the disappointment that is you in this moon's dust. And John's just like, wow, you are not the person you should be. And he leaves her. He leaves her on Titan. And he knows she was on Titan the day before doing some investigating. So she'll be able to make it back to Earth, but this will definitely give him some time to do what he needs to do. He stops by to see Damian, and he's got Wonder Woman's lasso of truth. So he says, they have a conversation using the lasso. And we cut to Clark trying to bring everybody up on the old earpiece, and he's calling Barry, he's calling Damian, Diana, and Jay. We see Jay in the in a cell, and he's pushing it a little bit. He's talking to he says he's letting Clark know it sounds like your son might have gotten to him because none of your soldiers seem to be answering. And Clark is convinced that Jay has poisoned John against him. And he's like, dude, I didn't poison him. You're just obviously toxic, and he doesn't need super eyes to see what you are. And now Clark is about to bend the bars and break into the cell to get to Jay. John comes in, breaks down another wall, and now they have a conversation. And it is the way I never expected this to kind of resolve the way it did. It was slick. It unique to a degree, but it was pretty slick. Although Clark does end up breaking Jay's arm because he says, because Taylor really, really gets the concept of Superman. Because Clark's yelling at John, telling him about all the good he's done for the planet, how he's trying to protect the planet. And he points to Jay, and he's like, if this man died at my hands, what would you do? And John says, I would do whatever it takes to ensure you face justice and no more. And Clark's like, yeah, you really think so? You think you're stronger than anger, stronger than grief? And then John just is like, Superman has to be. That's when Clark breaks John's arm. And it looks like John's about to go and attack Clark. But then something I didn't expect to see happens. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But Clark retaliates. And now, but everybody sees this. This is in public view in front of the Hall of Justice or Injustice. And everybody's seeing how Superman is reacting to this person who's basically just talking to him. And then he plays a crystal featuring with a speech by Lois, and Clark seems to just be quite taken aback by this whole scene. And before anything else can happen, get this massive sound effect, and John starts fading because Cyborg blasted him back to his home dimension. And as he's disappearing, Clark is kind of remorseful, resentful. He's kind of obviously reacting to all the time lost, things that could have been while John was here, and they have their conversation. John ends up back at Earth Zero, but something is very, very wrong, apparently, according to this one last panel. And then apparently we'll get another miniseries titled Beast World before the end of the year featuring John. So I was pleased with the story that Taylor told. I'm glad Clayton Henry came back for the final issue. I had preconceived notions as to where I thought maybe the story was going, and it kind of didn't, and I'm happy about that because I'd like to be surprised every once in a while, and everything made sense. I'm still not the biggest Injustice fan in the world, but seeing John in this world and trying to make sense of it, and trying to kind of throw some common sense that he's familiar with, that he was brought up, that Lois and Clark instilled in him, and seeing him try to let that world know, the Injustice world, that this is how things could be. Taylor did a great job. I thought it was a very, very entertaining, very good limited series. I am a big John Kent fan, and it's not just John Kent, obviously, because he is becoming a Superman that I very much like, a Superman that I grew up reading. So it's nice to see that sometimes legacy characters can kind of be carbon copies or duplicates, and that seems to be what's happening here, and I'm not mad about it. But this was a very, very good limited series.
Nice. It's on my stack.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
A few months back we had John Amore on the show.
Yep.
And it was either his In Your Travels or when we were just riffing on books, he turned us on to Jazz Maynard, one of his favorite series. And I talked about the first volume a few months back after he came on. I read it. That was called the Barcelona Trilogy and enjoyed it quite a bit. And this week I read Jazz Maynard Volume 2, the Iceland Trilogy.
Nice.
Yes. Same creative team. Raule. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's Raule is the writer. And Roger, just good old Roger, is the artist. And this is a bande dessinée that's brought over here, I believe, by Lion Forge and translated into the English. For those who don't remember the first volume discussion, Jazz Maynard, the titular character, is a badass, good-looking, thin, like protagonist who has some mystery to him. He is all he wants really out of life is to play his trumpet, and he is exceptionally talented as a jazz musician playing the trumpet. But he has a past, and it's his past. He was a absolute badass soldier in a crime family, a la like John Wick level, and much like John Wick, he's trying in the first volume to be away from that, but he has to go and rescue his sister, who's gotten into some tough spots, and he gets pulled right back in. And that volume ends with the crime lord of Barcelona. This book is set in Barcelona. The book is set in Barcelona. Is sent to prison. So this picks up right where we left off. The crime lord is in prison, but he's still running things or trying to run things. But since he's in prison, there are other parties now trying to assert control of the crime world in Barcelona. Jazz has gone legit at this point. He's got nothing to do with the crime world. He owns a small jazz club, and he performs there every night to a packed house and is living a very happy life. And really, just like John Wick, he gets brought back in with the proposition that he just can't say no to. And the hijinks ensue. This is called the Iceland Trilogy because he is sent on a mission with his best friend Teo, who's also not as badass, but he's also a capable fighter and soldier. They have to go to Iceland to handle some business, and all the while, the crime lord that they put away in the first volume is making moves to get out of prison and reassert his control, which is going to be a problem for Jazz, as you might imagine. And the book, similar to the first volume, it's very heavy on setup in the early going, like a crime noir comic. And then once you hit that crescendo, it's just all out balls of the wall, nonstop fighting and killing until there's a resolution. So it's amazing. And I will say that the most notable thing about Volume 2 versus Volume 1 is that Roger's art is quite changed. I don't know. I should have looked this up. I don't know the time lag between when the Barcelona trilogy and the Iceland trilogy were originally done, but Roger in the first one, and I liked the art in the first one quite a bit. It reminded me, I think at the time I mentioned it, reminded me of like Ion Flux. The characters were all very long and stretched out and super thin, right? Like it had that look, which is not unusual in European comics. But in this, he takes a much more subdued approach. There is still some angular aspects to the character designs for sure, and the action scenes are still very frenetic, but the character models are far more natural looking. And it's neither here nor there. Like, I love the visuals of the first, so I don't know that, like, I'm not going to say this is better work, but it definitely is different. And because it came out years later, I'm going to presume it was a natural progression of his own artistic preferences. It still works really well. And so I don't know that I have a preference for A versus B, but it is just notable that it's quite a departure, which is unusual considering it's the same art team. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I've mentioned John Wick a few times because that's the most obvious comp for our listeners. If you enjoy that kind of story of this high-paced action of a reluctant hero, then you'll love this. It was great, and I don't think there's any more. At least there's never been any more translated here in the U.S. I don't know if there was more in Europe, but I'm stoked that once again, thanks to John for turning us onto this when he was on the show.
Yeah.
Does look very good.
Oh, it's great. No, the visuals are incredible. Yeah. And it's got a lot. I mean, you love jazz, Vince. It's got a heavy jazz. You know, there are lots of asides where he talks about his love for jazz and his inspirations and that sort of thing.
I do love jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Like so much.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everybody. You know the score. This episode of 11 O'Clock Comics has been brought to you by who?
CheapGraphicNovels.com.
Yes, cheapgraphicnovels.com. It's right there in the name. You can get omnibus editions, collected editions, manga, a whole bunch of stuff for a lot off cover price. And you're going to order something. You will receive an email confirmation for said order, and you'll be responding to that email confirmation by saying 11 O'Clock Comics sent me. And then Max will say, you know what, youngster, your next shipping is on the house. So that's pretty amazing. And if you remember, cheapgraphicnovels.com. And if you would like to check out our Patreon page, it's patreon.com/11 O'Clock Comics. Lots of stuff in the works, lots of stuff already there. Audio, video, downloads, images, voting, the whole 9 yards. So check that out in your travels. Another little look at Image Comics from a very, very particular and narrow window of time. This is 94, I believe. Yep, August 94 and September of 1994. Specifically, one of my Image OG blank spots. We all have an OG Image blank spot, don't we?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Shadowhawk.
Oh, okay.
Is it really?
Yeah. I was so down with, I mean, come on, Spawn, what? And then the Wildcats was the next, and I guess Youngblood was the next in the chain. But Shadowhawk was like, ooh, looks a little too like Wolverine for me. I'm just going to wait and see where this goes, right? But the thing I'm trying to... Again, narrow window. Don Simpson, to reiterate what happened last issue, Don Simpson's all over these books, at least in the ads. There's a Normal Man, Megaton Man special coming in August 1994 from Image. The back cover of Shadowhawk number 12 is all Don Simpson. It's a promo for Bizarre Heroes coming soon from Fiasco Comics. And then this is a pair of Shadowhawk issues, obviously. In the 13th issue of Shadowhawk, the back cover, inside there's an advertisement for a Don Simpson Megaton Man t-shirt. And on the back cover, you can get a Todd McFarlane drawn cover of Flaming Carrot. Like, what the hell is happening? Right? There was a lot of crossover back in the early Image days. But I think it's funny. Issue 12 features Chapel, and it's printed on super glossy paper, like heavy, super glossy paper, and it's $1.95. The next issue continues to be $1.95, but issue 13 is printed on matte newsprint. Like it's not Mando, it's not Baxter, it's certainly not just plain old newsprint. It's about... it's not a bad paper, but it's not glossy. It doesn't hold the ink like the other stuff. In fact, it has the ink, it absorbs the ink much better than the glossy stuff. But anyway, in issue 13, it's Wildcats. Could Shadowhawk appear in his book without a guest star? I don't know. But get this. This is what the one thing I wanted to say, because I think it's cool, and I did not even know this happened. There's two stories in Shadowhawk 13. A much shorter backup story ends with, next, I'd rather be in 1963. Say no more. And so in Shadowhawk issue 14, the cover of which is reproduced here, it says, I'd rather be in 1963, and it's Shadowhawk profile looking in on a bunch of characters from 1963. It says, next issue, I'd rather be in 1963. The title says it all. No, it isn't the long-awaited annual, but Shadowhawk does find himself smack dab in the middle of these halcyon days of yesteryear and directly in front of some of the wildest characters in all of comicdom. Special guest stars The Fury, Horus, USA, Hypernaut, N-Man, Inframan, Infragirl, and Johnny Beyond. Jim Valentino returns to the art chores, aided and abetted by Randy Queen and Baton Lash on the Johnny Beyond sequence. It's a blast from the past with more than enough relevance for today's modern life. Yeah, good luck with that. And an issue you will definitely not want to miss. Plus, as a special bonus, the winners from both the Hero Illustrated and Wizard Shadowhawk art contest. All 6 weeks away, say no more. Did you guys know that 1963 popped up in Shadowhawk?
Yes.
How did you not tell me that?
Why would I think you wouldn't know?
Well, okay. Nice. That's nice that you said that. But I didn't know. And now I need it. Because I never read it.
Let me do some digging. Maybe I might. Let me see what I find.
What? The one of the best things ever to come out of Image just popped up in Shadowhawk, and nobody thought it, to tell me. What the hell?
Well, I mean, again, you've had 30 years to discover that little gem yourself.
And
well,
how
yeah.
Did you not know that?
I did not know. I had no idea because it is Shadow.
Right, it is Shadowhawk, but dude, like
Blank spot.
All of the original 7, Jim Valentino was the one dude who actually put in time in the indies and could get published work. So I would have thought that while Shadowhawk might not have been,
yeah, I think
he's at least the guy who created it. You might have been aware.
Oh, I like Valentino stuff a lot,
yeah.
But I just thought Shadowhawk was like, yeah, he breaks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and he looks like Wolverine, like, whatever. But my bad. My bad, right? Oh, he's got that. It is your bad, yeah. He's got that disease. Oh no, he's gonna get rid of it. I don't know, but yeah. So here we go. Shadowhawk 12 and 13, 1963 related, and Don Simpson. Like what? Check your back issue bins for issue 14. I need it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Bam.
Bam.
In your travels, the limited series, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the Illyrian Enigma, the first Strange New Worlds miniseries from IDW. I believe a new one is solicited in previews, but this was basically just something to read. This was a story to kind of tide you over between the first and second season because they're kind of trying to. Pike wants to do whatever he can to free Una from. Basically, she's not treason, but she is held. Starfleet is holding her because she lied. Illyrians are genetically modified, and after the eugenic wars and Khan, Noonien Singh, they decided, listen, Starfleet, we can't have any genetically modified beings in Starfleet. So Una, number one, she basically lied on her resume. She kept that to herself. But we do find out that she is Illyrian in the first season of Strange New Worlds, and the second season of Strange New Worlds was absolutely fantastic. Almost every episode was better than the one before it. There was some strong, heavy. Strange New Worlds, the second season, they went 1 week making you laugh. The next week, just brought you to your knees dealing with, civil rights. Then they gave you some more kind of slapsticky stuff because Spock's human, and then they bring you back to dealing with PTSD. It was a roller coaster. It was intense. It was fantastic. But this miniseries, of course, they kind of have to end it where, unlike DC, when they were writing between Star Trek movies and they had they had Spock back before they even found him in the third movie. They kind of IDW, Kristen Beyer and Mike Johnson with art by Megan Levins, they have to kind of put everything back so that it will not screw anything up. They're not trying to tell you. They're not trying to step on the toes of the people who are bringing you the second season. So the end is kind of a foregone conclusion, the end of this particular story. But it was still pretty good because Spock is trying to get some answers because apparently the Illyrians and the Vulcans from way back when were actually intertwined, so to speak. And this was I think the writers here really did a good job of making sure that everybody basically kind of just sounded like themselves, which is what I appreciate in licensed properties. But this was it was a little bit of a mystery, which was fun to kind of follow along with. And then we get there's some secrets that really kind of can't be shared, and other mysteries that may reveal themselves later on down the line. But I thought they, as a first attempt of bringing Strange New Worlds to comics, I thought they did an admirable job. I think the story was neat, but just seeing everybody kind of play together on the page as much as I enjoy them on the screen, it worked. It didn't break the world. It didn't reinvent anything, but it definitely maybe satiated your appetite if you were jonesing in between seasons. And now, of course, we're going to be jonesing again. But like I said, we should have another miniseries coming up soon. But in your travels, check out Star Trek: Strange New Worlds: The Illyrian Enigma.
A word up. Yeah, Strange New Worlds is an incredible show that I feel like not enough people talk about.
Definitely not.
Man, you talk about it a lot, so I feel like we're covered there. But I mean, like in general, we don't talk about it.
I try.
Yeah, in your travels, I'm just coming at you with we're collectively coming at you with these European imports because they're good.
Yes.
And I got something from Ablaze for that ass, and that is the Boogeyman. It is written by Matthew, French like Matthew Salvia, and art by Jet. Like, are you here, Jet? Like DJET. Very cool book. Probably wish I had saved it for October when I do my nonstop horror binge of all types of media. But I read it this week, and that's fine because it was very good. It's a pretty neat premise. It's essentially there's a little boy named Elliot. As many little kids are wont to do, he believes there are such things as monsters in places. He believes there is a boogeyman living in their house. He believes there is a giant wolf living in their walls. And, the dad's like putting the kid to bed and like, oh, it's all good. Like, you're safe. Like, good night, sweetie, all that sort of thing. And what happens? Right. Well, what do you think it's set up? Well, a dark force enters the home and slaughters mom and dad. And Elliot sees this all happen. And turns out Elliot was right. There are monsters. But here's the catch of this book. The titular boogeyman is not the killer. No. The boogeyman is the hero. Because the creature, the boogeyman that Elliot's seen in the house, he was right. There is a boogeyman in the house. Only this boogeyman, for reasons that I won't get into, is actually one of the oldest of the monsters known as boogeymen, Father Death. And he's been hiding in this house for centuries. basically stepping away from his former life of wrecking chaos and evil on the human world. And so when this other dark force comes into the house and messes with the people that are in this house, he takes issue with it and decides to protect Elliot from these forces. And the conceit here is that the dark forces that stumble upon Elliot's house and kill his parents are a newer generation of creatures, of boogeymen, and they are going around the world hunting the elders. So it's kind of like, from a mythology perspective, it reminded me of the Greek mythology, you know, the Battle of the Titans, when the Olympians went around and had to kill the Titans so that they could then go to Mount Olympus and run things. And that's kind of what this is. These newer generation of characters are looking to kill the older generation, and they've largely done so. At this point, they thought they had pretty much wiped out everybody, and it had been a while since they had encountered an elder. But now they've encountered Father Death, and he's not your average elder. He's one of the OGs, the titans of this world. And so, just kind of neat, because it's not like Father Death is a good force, right? I mean, he's Father Death. He's been responsible for centuries of fear and death. So it's curious to see that kind of character in a protagonistic lens. But I thought that the team of Salvia and Jet did a great job with it, and I just thought it was very well executed. The visuals are, I mean, if you read the intro, they acknowledge that they're very much children of manga. Like, their artistic influences were largely from manga, and that really comes through in the art stylings. I also think from a setting standpoint and a pacing and like a tonal standpoint, it very much felt like this could be another book in the Tinian Something's Killing the Children universe. It definitely would fit right into that aesthetically. So a lot going for it. Very timely. Probably smart of them to import this book at a time when the Tinian stuff is so hot, because it does feel right at home with that. And you all know I'm a fan of that stuff, so no surprise that I'd find this appealing as well. So yeah. So, and I love the little pull quote: "Monsters don't only exist in children's minds." So very clever. Interesting take on the idea of a impaired child having to be protected, right? That's been done a million times, but I thought that the way they went about it was at least new. And so 2 thumbs up from me on The Boogeyman by Ablaze.
Nice. Good for Ablaze.
Yeah, blazing up.
Yeah.
Ablaze does good stuff.
They do.
They really do.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Did that trace or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, the trace was
it. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
it looks good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here with us one more time. We hope you come back next time, because we love you so much, and we'll have something waiting for you. If not scintillating comics discussion, then maybe a cookie or a scone.
Geoff? No?
Get yourself to a comic shop and buy some stuff, talk about it, love your pets and your family and everything else in the whole world, and then come back here and say goodnight. Shitheads.
Wow, you're calling our listeners shitheads?
No. David, I was going to have something.
What kind of pie is your family making at 9 o'clock at night?
Zucchini?
Good night.
Zucchini pie?
That's what she said.
Is that like a Sicilian thing?
Yeah, it's not just zucchini. It's like meat and other stuff in it.
Oh, pizza.
Kinda.
David.
Or is it more of a quiche?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a zucchini meat quiche.
Yes, something like that. Yeah, and I love it. Anything freaking zucchini.
I didn't know you were a big Zook fan.
Oh, I love zucchini. Woo.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think one of the ways I'm going to have to deal with my not being on the art grind is we're going to have a couple good meals while we're in here.
Yes. More than a couple, but yes.
What? Like Wendy's isn't enough?
No. Bro, I can't eat Wendy's. What am I going to eat at Wendy's? 2023. I would rather eat Wendy's.
My God. Let's go spend $12,000 to eat.
Oh, what else? What else you got to do with the money? You ain't going to buy no art.
You're not going to buy no vinyl.
There's not going to be back.
You don't know that. Bye. We're out of here. Tell them you love them so much.
I do. I love everybody tonight because you can hear me. I love you.
So wait, you're just admitting that you're projecting your problems onto the listeners at the end of every
of course.
episode?
I mean,
that
I'm human.
sucks. No, that's weird.
Why they come back?
Bye.
Love you.
That's it for that one.